So welcome to another episode of That's So HR, where we dive deep into the strategy and mindset that drives successful in the modern workplace. I'm your host, Jack, and today we're discussing a critical topic in terms of how to achieve sustainable high performance without burning out. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to equip success with a constant hustle type of culture, but if I always wonder, but if there's any better way to make this happen without burning out your employees. And today, we're happily joined with Basma Aziz, a well-being consultant and performance coach, who will share her expertise on balancing the ambitious and the sustainable practices to achieve long-term success. To kick off the ball, and my first questions will be, how do you see the traditional definition of success evolving in today's work culture?
Hi, Jack. Thank you for having me. Um, I think that's something that I think a lot of millennials and Gen Z are the ones who think about it a lot because we kind of grew up with the idea that success is having more money, more cars, more estate, and just feeling like you can get whatever you want. But I think a lot of that definition is changing towards health in general, and that health is wealth. So nowadays, I noticed that because people got into the working life, and they are starting to have long experiences and experiencing health issues because of working hard and working a lot. I noticed that success is being linked more to health and feeling better and having more of different experiences in your life than the traditional idea of success is climbing the ladder in the corporate world.
Yeah, I definitely resonate with that. I think, especially, I think that had a great change right after COVID time when people,
Sure.
I have friends literally start telling me, it's like, hey, I recognize the time I spend with my family more, and also I do want to kind of have a work-life balance a little bit better.
Hmm.
We know during the whole COVID remote time, everyone got their work-life balance a little bit better, and
Hmm.
they saw the impact that it has on their day to day, and as well as work.
Yeah.
My next question to you is actually I wonder what are some of the biggest misconception about high performance that contribute to burnout? I think that's an interesting topic,
Yes.
yeah.
I think the first thing that comes to mind is that long hours equals performance, And this is something that we just got used to when we watch TV, growing up with different movies and series. You just see this person that is successful staying in the office until 10 p.m., 11 midnight. And this glamorizing the idea of spending long hours. Well, when you think about it, you're like, why do you need that much time to do your job? Are you not efficient enough to actually need that many hours? And this is something that I actually bring up a lot in my work to really change this narrative that you don't need to spend that many hours at work for you to do your job. It's actually not a good thing. Let's switch it up that you need actually to be more efficient and find better collaboration in teams, have people with the right skills in their positions for them to do the job in the right time, for people really not to spend that much time and equal it to performance. I think another misconception of performance is being a yes person. I think we really want to be problem solvers when we get into new positions, new roles, and you want to be the person who brings in this idea out of the box, and you're like, yeah, I can take on this project and I take on this task, and we love being there for the company or for the team. While that has, the other side, which you become really a yes person and people expect you to do the work. And sometimes you don't get the recognition that you need. So in your mind, you're like, yeah, I'm being performant. I'm actually saying yes to these projects and I have so many things and I'm so valuable. But on the other hand, are you really, or are people just considering you the person who gets the job done, but you don't get the recognition? Yeah, I think these two are the biggest misconceptions for me.
Yeah, no, I came from banking world. I definitely agree with the long hour one. I remember during my internship, there's still time that it's like, oh, I'm not leaving the office. I need to give a good impression. Ended up, people just doing nothing on the office, staring at the screen, and then also there's like plenty of time. I find it's like what you said there, like how to be efficient at your role. I
Yeah.
think that, a lot of tasks somewhat could be automated or could be using a better way to approach it. Ended up, the results is much higher even though you spend less time. And focusing on those practices is great.
Yeah.
My next part would be why, in your opinion, why is it so important for like leaders and also high achiever to also focus on sustainability as well,
Yeah.
in other than just solely performance.
Yeah. I really like to think of performance at work, like if you're thinking of performance of an athlete in general. Because I think at the end of the day, it's just different domains and different fields that we are in. Maybe we're like trying to be performant with our brains, and athletes, you could see it physically, they're trying to be performant. And since the Olympics just were now, like in July, considering ourselves like athletes puts the importance in not only like doing the work but also treating rest as it should for recovery, and we tend to not give attention to that because we're used to just like you're clicking your emails, you're clicking your projects, and you're thinking the more you give the more you're going to get, and we don't experience the mental fatigue the same way we experience physical fatigue. Because when you have physical fatigue, you're really feeling that your muscles are sore. You feel that you can't really walk after a leg day. You're just like, I can't go to the fridge. While when you have soreness in your brain, you're maybe just tired, you're sleepy, and you have these automatic, solutions, which is drinking coffee, drinking energy drinks. This idea that I can't pull a whole like a white night or a full night into this project. So the idea of looking at ourselves as athletes changes this into including rest into our day. And for high performers, because they are really important for delivery in companies, in their projects, in their companies, it's very important to give yourself the rest you need. And on the other hand, it's also the importance of like giving yourself time off, also not only physically resting, like taking naps and sleeping, but also doing nothing, getting bored in a way. For high performance, once you get into this grind, your mind can't stop. You're just really thinking all the time, and you're thinking about the next thing you need to do. You're always trying to solve something that you have in mind. Maybe your sleep also gets very impacted by it, so you don't get enough recovery during your sleeping hours. So in order to get the mind to really slow down, we need the time to be bored and time to do absolutely nothing, and maybe consume also content that is really empty in a way. I think, at least in my circle of friends, we have a lot of people who like to watch reality TV as a way to shut their brains off. And it's very interesting because growing up, I went to one of the top business schools in Morocco, and like in the circle of like the students, it was such a shame to watch reality TV. Like, it's so trash. What are you doing? Like, how are you spending your time doing this instead of leading the next startup or solving some social issue? But nowadays, exactly the same people are like, yeah, I'm watching Love is Blind because I really need my brain to take a break. So I think also this, like, getting bored and taking the time off is also something as important as doing the work as a performant person.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you almost covered the next question. It's like also what some best practices to, create a workplace that, encourage this work-life balance. And then you mentioned it, definitely like having for individual tips, having more time for yourself to rest your brain, just do things that you like, and then so that you can go back and work, even
Yeah.
though you might not be feeling it.
I just want to add also that I think a lot of times we don't know how to be bored anymore. We have so many ways to be entertained, and I find myself like that when I really push myself to be bored and be like, okay, I'm not gonna touch my phone, I'm not gonna turn the TV on, I'm just gonna go for a walk without anything, not listening to music. I mean, it's so excruciating because I'm like, I need something, but at the same time, I think the next day or like 2 days later, because of that, I feel okay. I got my brain to really disconnect. And I also think sometimes we need to allow ourselves the time off, because it's very different for different people. So it might be like I need 1 hour. It might be that you need a week for your brain to really slow down. And to add one of the tips that I swear by, and this was something that my therapist told me when I was in my burnout recovery, is to do everything slow. Also talking slow, like drinking and stirring your tea slow, walking to the bathroom slowly, and literally just take a day and be slow in it. And it was such a mind-boggling thing, because I talk sometimes I talk very fast, and I just like things to be done faster. So it's like this efficiency. Yeah, I need to find the shortest way to get there. But then I needed to do things very slow, and it was hard. But it's one of the things I always come back to when I feel very overwhelmed with work.
I see. No, no, definitely. Those are really good tips. And I was kind of also wondering, what are some of the recommendations for kind of like work, like your managers, as well as like the leadership themselves, like to kind of implement on their workplace so that they can help the work with the work-life balance and well-being.
Um, One of the things I usually recommend is because I talk about sustainable performance, but I think a lot of people don't understand when I put these two words together. Because usually when we talk sustainability, it's more like environmental sustainability. We think about it about preserving nature or preserving, yeah, most of the time is nature. But when it comes to people, when I talk about sustainable performance, is to preserve people, the employees, the people that you have in the company doing the work. And one of the tips for managers and leaders is to discuss sustainability in the team, like when they're assigning projects, and have a sustainability check. So when they're checking like the budgets, talking about the tasks for the week, doing the stand up meetings, they talk about, okay, how sustainable are we this week? And people need, this is also like it's on both leaders and the employees to come forward and say, my plate is at 80% this week, and be very genuine about it. Because it only could work if people are genuine about their capacity. So treating the team capacity from a sustainable perspective and talking about sustainability, like energy sustainability, like we don't want to burn ourselves too fast, and looking at it from like a yearly perspective, quarterly perspective, and doing these evaluations, as part of the performance evaluation, is something very helpful, because you bring it to the spot and you also empower people to talk about their capacity. Because I noticed that in performance management, you have always the questions about your goals, objectives, do you reach them, your strengths, your weaknesses. You always want to look the best. And when it comes to talking about how much can you take, it's always seen as, if you come forward and say, okay, I can't take this anymore, you're seen as weak or maybe incapable. And this is where the role of the leader comes in, because they need to empower their teams to say, I can't go more than what I'm able to do. And they also need to protect their team also when they get tasks from above, to say, okay, my team is at capacity. I know this is important, but then we need to prioritize differently. I cannot just take it in, but rather think, okay, which project can we put back in the back burner, and then put this as the most important, because I need my team to have sustainable energy. So this is one. This is something that they can do in the team meetings, also in one-on-ones. And then I touched upon the performance management. So also in the evaluation, you don't only talk about the objectives that you need to reach, but also how are you reaching them. And when you discuss this how with your team, you're giving them space to think about their own way of working. Because if they see that their team member is pulling in a lot of hours for them to reach this objective, it's up to the manager to remind the person, like, okay, maybe you needed this many hours and you have this many projects. Is it the right thing for you to do to reach that goal? And when you discuss the how of how are you going to reach those goals, it kind of educates, or I don't want to say it, but it's a little bit more training for people to also learn to say no and have their boundaries. Yeah, and there are more things, but these are the main ones that I always lead with.
Yeah, no, no, these are really very important notes. Take notes. And then, so next part, I'm actually going to talk about how do you measure that. Like, I think essentially measuring, the whole work-life balance as well as like even burnout is tough.
Yes.
What are some of the metrics that you think that company can use or even individuals should kind of care about to kind of when they're focusing on this goal of long-term sustainable performance?
Yeah. It's true. Actually, metrics for well-being are very difficult, and like finding this work-life balance because it really comes down to the individual person doing the work, doing their part. Because when you look at the organization, of course, we always talk about what the organization should be doing, because of course the organization has a responsibility towards their people. On the other side, there's also a personal responsibility when it comes to work-life balance, because the person also needs to have a certain growth mindset for them to look further than just what can I do now, but also their overall performance and overall career. So one of the easiest metrics, which most of the companies have nowadays, is the engagement survey. So when you have your employee engagement survey that you run, it depends either a pulse type, where you run it every quarter per team, or you have your yearly one. There you can get a lot of data to understand where people stand when it comes to work-life balance, and you see also where you stand on different dimensions. So, and you can also do different links because you can see how your leadership is versus how the people are feeling. You can see how your diversity and inclusion strategy is versus how people are feeling. You can do these links for you to really understand where you stand when it comes to work-life balance. And it's something, if you do it on a pulse level, so every quarter, and usually this is done per division or per department, per team, it depends, you're able to react faster, of course. It's more focus and more work, and it needs dedication, let's say, usually from the business partners, together with the managers. If you do a yearly one, you're gonna see that the changes come slowly, but you at least have like this your view over the company and the culture that you want to build. So the engagement survey is one of the metrics. I also think like when you look at the engagement in the company and the different offers that you have for your employees, because a lot of times well-being is treated as we just need offers for our employees. So we need to give them workshops, we need to give them the gym subscription, we need to give them mental health or like the EAPs, the assistance programs. And once you give it, like you just offer it, you're like, okay, I ticked the box, it's going great for me. But it's not only about offering, it's also about the usage. So this is also one of the metrics to look at. Are you putting in enough effort in the communication for people to know that you're offering this? And two, are people actually using it? Because if they're not using it, something is off. We know that mental health matters, and we know that people experience different things during their job and their work. So we know that some people are having very tough meetings and they're crying afterwards. We know that people feel like the pressure for delivery, so they maybe have headaches, they have panic attacks. We know these things exist, and of course, companies offer the assistance programs for them to use it when they feel like this. But do they? Are you putting effort to encourage people to do this? Are you raising the awareness? Are you making it part of your culture? Are you making it easy for people to take the step, or are you judging them instead and making them feel that they are weak if they're using it? So also the usage of these offers and programs is a good way to measure your well-being. Yeah, I think these two are good to start with, or like these metrics.
Yeah, I agree. In fact, like I think it's like one of my personal experience. My last work, we have this like free, you know, kind of like performance like type of therapy, and then I remember you like these type of resource is always super underutilized because there's like a stigma around like, oh, I don't want people to know I need to talk this therapy. I don't want people to know. And so from there, the company itself is not really like raising enough awareness people to take advantage of it and ended up being very underutilized, these other resources.
Yeah.
I definitely agree. Like
Yeah.
how to kind of like build up, some the awareness, how make it blend in into your culture. That's going to be like a key for a lot of companies to figure out.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is also why, like, my role as well-being manager in my previous company was very key because I was the person dedicated to do this, which allowed, to at least communicate and try and test also different communication. Because I think different companies have, of course, different cultures, and the way people receive therapy or receive, mental health is different. So when we were offering mental health support in the form of therapy, people felt it was a German company, so people felt very like, I don't want to do this. This is very personal. I might go through my insurance and do this rather than do it inside the company. While when we switched a bit the narrative to say, do you want to be successful? Do you want to make sure that you can grow in your career? Do you want to perform sustainably? People feel like, well, actually, this feels okay. This feels like coaching. Because, I mean, of course, therapy and coaching are two different things, but they have a lot of gray area in between. And when we push a bit the idea of coaching and like getting the support for you to perform better, people tend to feel less the stigma and that I'm not going because I'm not okay. I'm going because I want to be better. At the end, it's the same result because we want people to feel good and we want people to feel that they're supported in the company. So it doesn't matter which way we, it's not that it doesn't matter, but like for us, both of them, whatever works is the one we want. So it worked that we told people, do you want to perform better? And they're like, yeah. So we started seeing the numbers growing in the mental health support that we were giving.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's all really interesting to kind of like hear. Yeah, I think that's kind of wrap up the final question that I have for this episode. And thank you a lot. Thanks, Basma, for joining us to sharing this like her wisdom and insights with us. And hope the reader can take some information away to know how to achieve sustainable high performance in the same time really avoiding the burnout. So thank you all and stay tuned for the next episode.
Thank you.